If you look back at the last season, last PDC season, what stands out for you personally?
I think I have to be honest. One of the things that stands out for me is the fact that we're going into a lot of tournaments not knowing who's going to win, and that's not a criticism of any of the top players. That's actually a compliment to the overall standard of players deeper down the rankings. There's more players who are going into major events feeling that they can lift the trophy at the end of them. There's more players feeling that they can cause upsets if they're a little bit less well established or anything like that. There's just more and more players who are not frightened of being up there and producing their best.
There have been discussions about the format of the Grand Slam of darts, about the number of video players, and also about that 8 players have to enter, will come over the qualifying event. Is it possible that we will have some changes in that system in the future?
Yeah, potentially. You know, obviously there's a certain amount of uncertainty with the BDO at the moment. We need to see how that progresses over the next few months. It's important for us that there are qualifiers because it's a ranking event. And I know people say that ultimately every event's a qualifier because of the nature of it, but in reality with 128 tour card holders, if you want it to be an actual pure ranking event, you need to give everybody the opportunity to qualify from a standing start. So some of the routes into the Grand Slam are through invitational events rather than qualifiers, rather than ranking events, which favours certain players over others. So we feel that having qualifiers is important, but obviously with the invitational side of things, then that's always something that we review annually.
You're talking about qualifiers. I think around about 20 of the 96 players here at the World Championship come from one-day qualifiers. Is there the possibility to have more local tours like the CDC, the Nordic and Baltic and all that stuff? Because if those players who come out in these one-day qualifiers, it's just about the form at this one day and not the best, maybe the real best player from this local area.
Yeah, agree. I mean, we'd love to have regional tours in every part of the world. It relies on logistics, relies on money, relies on the ability of players in certain areas to be able to play regularly in competitive darts. Some places are it's expensive to travel, players maybe don't have as much money, they've got other commitments if they're not full-time dart players, so we'd love to have regional tours, and that's something that you've seen us develop over the last few years with the Asian Tour, Nordic and Baltic Tour, our affiliation with the CDC guys in North America as well. DPA and DPNZ have obviously been long-standing, but there's other areas too. We're looking with interest at what people are doing in Asia, looking at what people are doing in Africa, South America. Diogo Portela and his guys have done some great work there, same with Devon Peterson in South Africa. So we'll keep developing, and as you say, hopefully one day we will have those tours in place everywhere, so that we don't just get someone who plays well on the day, we get somebody who's proven themselves all year.
The World Championship has got much prize money, £2.5 million. And there's also a big influence from this tournament at the rankings. Do you think it is sometimes too much, because there are some players who can save their tour cards just because of a great result at the World Championship? I remember Devon Peterson last year, for example.
Yeah, you're right. Some players can do that, but in the same vein, we have to look at it and say that this event is a major global sporting event. The rest of our events are big in the darts world, but they're not necessarily big in the whole global sporting calendar like this is. So the prize money has to reflect that. You've seen the scale of this event around the world. It's an event that's on TV. It's an event that that thousands and thousands of fans travel to, many from different countries, with ticket sales over 65 countries. So I think the prize money has to reflect that. Our job is to make sure that the prize money in other events can grow to a level where it's reflective. Obviously there is a large waiting for the World Championship, which is deserved, but we need to grow the other events too.
So that will happen in the next few years, so that the prize money also can increase in other TV tournaments and maybe also for the floor events?
Yeah, I mean, if you look over the last few years, prize money has increased in all those events as well. So we'll do it at the right time. It has to be when we've got commercial contracts in place that can afford to pay for those contracts. Can afford to pay for that prize money rather. But we will do it. We have done it, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah. Let's look at darts in Germany. There are still 7 European Tour events and European Championship and the World Cup there. But PDC Europe starts now something new. They have more than 10 own exhibition events next year, and when you look at it as a journalist, you worry a bit about the fact that the fans maybe don't know which event is important and which isn't, and that the number of viewers who really want to see all that stuff is going back because no one knows what is important anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure I agree entirely. I think that exhibitions are a good way to introduce darts to new territories, whether that's a country, a city, a region, places where there haven't been events before. And I think that obviously the demand for darts in Germany has grown substantially over the last 10 years, and in particular over the last 5 years. Whether that has meant that there's been a slight levelling out over the last 12 to 18 months, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. But I think the darts galas that are being staged now across Germany and other places in Central Europe are doing a good job in terms of introducing new audiences to the European Tour, as you've seen in Prague, and as we'll see this year in Hungary as well.
Last question about the ladies at the World Championship and also the ladies in general in darts. We have 2 ladies at this World Championship. We had 2 at the last World Championship, but there are no plans from the PDC to have an own ladies tour. Is that still right? And if that's right, what's the reason?
Yeah, we're constantly evaluating our position with ladies darts. We wouldn't rule out anything, to be brutally honest, but we wouldn't rule anything in either. We still feel it's very much in its infancy, and we need to see the demand. There was a reduced number of ladies entering the World Championship qualifier this year. Was that because they didn't feel they could win? Was that because they couldn't make the date? You know, all those. There's different reasons why they maybe didn't play. But I think we're some way away from being able to sustain a tour. You know, a tour needs to have a pool of players that can compete regularly on it to justify doing it, and also it has to have an end goal. You know, you don't just do it for the sake of doing it. But it's not something that we'd rule out doing. It's just something that we will talk to the appropriate people about. It's something that we'll evaluate what the overall landscape in the darts world looks like, and see where the next few years takes us.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. I think we look into a bright future still for darts, and the PDC has done a great job over the last years, and I think they will do even in the next to come. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks.